It's do a better job than my old ones, and I can function. But anyways, would you please do the roll call?
Member Alexander?
Here. Here.
Member Amoroso? Here. Member Burke?
Here.
Member Gonzalez?
Here.
Member Rodriguez?
Here.
Member Sixma?
Here.
Secretary Pfeffer?
Here.
Alternate Cardo? Here. Alternate Vasquez?
Okay, the main, or not main, the first order of business tonight is the election of officers.
Minutes.
Oh, no,
Oh, I apologize.
I'm just reading
Roll call
the
election of
agenda.
officers.
It's okay. Apology accepted. So I guess the first order of business is the election of officers. The first thing we do is we elect the chairman. So,
I would like to make a nomination for Eric Alexander for chairman.
okay, is there a second for Eric Alexander?
Second.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Second.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would want to make a nomination? Hearing none, the nominations are closed. Hello?
He's trying to get his here.
I know. I'm waiting.
Can you hear now?
Well,
Okay, given that there are no other another nominations, can we please do the roll call for votes?
do I vote?
Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah, you can vote.
Right. Member Alexander, do you vote for yourself?
Are you going to call it?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I apologize.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
sorry, 1 second while she sorts that out there.
Let's wait until he gets, so we can make sure he's.
Should be on.
You ready, Manny? Guess not.
Ready, Manny?
All right, we had a motion by Member Sixma, second by Burke for chair for Eric Alexander, right? Mm-hmm. All right, Member Alexander,
Yeah. Yes, I guess.
Member Amoroso? Yes. Member Burke?
Yes.
Member Gonzalez?
Yes.
Member Pfeffer?
Yes.
Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
And Member Sixma.
Yes.
Passes. And you can pass it now.
Okay.
But do I
Terrific.
continue with the nomination?
Nope, so he will call the vice chair.
All right.
I'll take my sign and I'll leave. This is the minutes last time I signed.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Yes, pleasure. Thank you. Got your coat there? Okay. Now this. Well, thank you all for your confidence. I appreciate that. I've had a little bit of experience in this, so well, bear with me, of course, at times we all. But thank you very much, and thank you, Stoney. I appreciate it.
Much deserved. You like me have been at it a long time, so.
Now, the order of, we need to assign a vice chair. So
Need to call for a motion.
that's what I was going to ask, if there's any motions for vice chair, other than what I'm going to make. Does anybody else have motions here? Then I'll move for Stoney, you've been a lot doing in this. I'll move for Stoney Sixma first, as a
Okay.
request, although as vice chair for the Planning and Zoning Board. Any second? I make a motion for Stoney Sixma.
Yeah, just,
Yeah, I think the chair has to, I don't know if the chair can actually make a motion. Yeah, I think that's
okay.
on the board has to make the motion.
Got to get my Robert's Rules of Order. So anyone else have a motion for vice chair? Susan Burke. Do I have a second? We have a second. A motion has been made for Susan Burke and a second. Madam, will you take a call?
All right, Member Alexander?
Yes?
Member Amoroso? Yes. Member Burke?
Yes.
Member Gonzalez?
Yes.
Member Pfeffer?
What are we voting on?
Vice Chair for Burke?
For Susan?
For Susan.
Yes.
No. Yes.
Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
And Member Sixma?
Yes.
And it passes.
All right, thank you all. Welcome, Vice Chair Burke. Thank you. All right.
Chair Alexander, we also need a secretary.
I can't hear you.
We also need a secretary, sorry.
Oh, and the move for secretary
Yes, sir.
officer. Do we have any motions for secretary officer for the Planning and Zoning Board? Anybody want to be it?
Actually, I think me and
Can you?
something you want to do? I'm sorry? You. I'm not making you the secretary.
I do appreciate it, and I thank you for that nomination, but I will not accept it because I'm new at this, and I don't want to mess up. That's it. So let somebody else do that. Thank you.
Anybody else?
What does it entail?
I can't make a motion, I guess.
What does the secretary job entail?
You saw it.
Actually, it just basically, if the chair can't be here and the vice chair can't be here, the secretary would hold the meeting. I don't know that there's actually any document retaining or anything like that involved in it.
No,
It's basically a position, right, to
Correct, yeah.
fulfill the meeting.
Take no minutes, right?
Yeah, you don't actually have to write down the minutes. That's right.
That's done on a staff level.
So any motions for anybody else here?
You want it?
I would take it. Yes, definitely do it.
I'll nominate.
Rachel Amoroso.
I can't.
I'll nominate Rachel Amoroso, member Amoroso.
I know Dr. Lefler has been doing it, correct? As a second for Rachel?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion for Rachel Amoroso as secretary and a second. Can we take a call?
Member Alexander?
Yes.
Member Amoroso?
Yes.
Member Burke?
Yes.
Member Gonzalez?
Yes.
Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
Member Sixma?
Yes.
And Member Pfeffer?
Yes.
Passes.
All right, congratulations. Terrific. All right, that seems to finish our election of officers for the next time being. Our next agenda item is approval of the minutes and agenda, the minutes of March 15th, 2023. They're not exactly attached, but I know we were all sent them or could review them online. Has everyone had an opportunity, and is there any objections or changes or anything with the minutes of the last meeting? Anyone?
I do not, yeah. I'll make a motion for approval. Nobody has any questions.
All right. Do I get a second? Doctor, second for approval of the minutes. That passes. Correct? Yes. All right. All right, next up, we don't have any presentations, awards, or reports, I don't believe. So we'll move right into public forum. Do we have anyone that's signed up for public forum? I see we got a couple of folks out there. Other than, I know there will be a chance to talk about the report that we're, the new business, but is there anyone else? Anyone has anybody to say? All right, so we'll move past the public forum. Any old business? We have none on the agenda. So, all right, let's get to business on our new business. The ordinance number 05-2023, amending the official zoning map to rezone 1.7 acre portion of land there on Howland Boulevard from BPUD to Retail Commercial District C1. Okay, do we have, staff is here. Thank you for being here, and
Yes, sir.
fill us in.
All right. Good evening, Chair. Congratulations. Hopefully you can hear me a little better. And Planning and Zoning Board, Joe Ruiz, Interim Director, Planning and Development Services today. Before we go ahead and get into ordinance number 05-2023, I'm going to ask our attorney to do some any swearing in that's needed on behalf of presenters and anyone withstanding. So.
Yes, and anyone who received a notice for this proceeding, go ahead and be sworn in before you speak. So, Joe, go right ahead. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right.
Thank you. And if I could stop you 1 second, I'm sorry, the sound is all out there. There are no speakers up here, are there? But it doesn't even seem to be coming up here. I know the guys are in the back, guys and gals are in the back. Can we get some, yeah, it's really muddled. I'd really like to see them get rid of these darn things, but I guess that's up to the commission.
Hopefully they can adjust it, and I'll try to speak a little louder. Hopefully that helps.
It's been better in the past, so I don't know where the sound's going, but thank you if you speak
problem.
a little louder for our folks.
Yep. Chair, if you can go ahead and poll the board for ex parte communications, if any, on this application as it is quasi judicial.
Yes, and I'm sorry to export.
Yeah, poll the board if there's any ex parte communications. Yeah.
I got you. That's right. Has anyone had any connection to this ordinance of any type? And go down the list here for us. Manny, have you had any?
Manny.
Have you been at the site?
No
Talk
extra
to anyone?
communication on my part.
None.
I just driven by the property and know where it's located.
Vice Chair Burt?
None since the last time when this first matter came before us.
None for me.
No ex parte, no.
Negative, except for driving by it.
All right.
And yourself, Chair? I don't know if you answered.
On that most, pardon?
I don't know if you answered. Did you answer? I'm sorry, I might have missed it.
I just can't hear you, man. It's so back there.
As far as ex parte, did you answer your portion?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
you did?
There are no ex parte.
Okay, perfect.
We can move ahead. Thank you, sir.
Perfect. Thank you. Like I said, I'll try to speak a little louder. My wife says I have a problem with that. So, application RZ 23-001, 0001, ordinance number 05-2023, for a portion of what is known as the Catalina Point area within our city here. So before you today, the application request is a request to amend the official zoning map from business plan unit development to retail commercial C1 for approximately 1.76 acres of land located at 2965 Holland Boulevard. Just some background on the site. There has been quite a history, and so I'm just going to try to make this brief as I go through the presentation. As you are pretty familiar, as it came in recent history, the bigger portion of this property. So the site, as mentioned, is part of 2965 Holland Boulevard. It is about 1.76 acres of land, currently zoned business plan unit development from a 2001 ordinance approved and adopted on April 16, 2001. The proposed zoning on behalf of the applicant is Retail Commercial District C1, and the future land use does align with that, which is commercial future land use. So just some existing maps on this site here. So you can see the existing zoning on there of this piece that's being carved out for commercial, and you can see the existing state of it on the aerial as it is currently vacant and wooded, and adjacent to the storage facility there along Howland, not too far from the center. So some previous rezonings, an ordinance back in 2001 changed this from county zoning to business planning and development, city business planning and development. It incorporated two parcels, the parcel that faces Howland as well as the parcel originally that faces Catalina. And so this was for a BPUD, which would allow commercial uses, shopping center, as well as a storage facility. The storage facility, out of all these entitlements, was what was built out, and then the rest of it never came to fruition. In 2003, a citywide administrative rezoning occurred on the parcel ending in 0070, so it's not part of this current application, but was rezoned with the Catalina Point project. That was administrative rezone from BPUD at that time to C1, City C1. So just going back to recent history, in 2022, there was the rezoning request for the Catalina Point project, which approved the 253 units or cottages and townhomes, which changed the zoning to RPUD on the remainder portion of the property, as well as changed the future land use as well. This was adopted on January 17th, 2023 via ordinance number 24-22, which came before you all. So the proposed zoning today that is requested is a C1, as seen on the map here. It'd go from that BPUD designation to the C1 if approved by the City Commission. The C1 zoning district is to establish neighborhood-oriented commercial development along high-volume roads such as Howland, which are compatible with nearby single-family residential areas. The C1 district was established as part of the original Deltona Lakes Community Development Plan to serve residential uses, so it'd be commercial uses serving these residential uses that the Mackel brothers originally planned for. Permitted uses include, but are not limited to, restaurants, barber shops, retail sales and services, general offices, and et cetera. So just some maps to kind of give you all a view of what is transpiring. As mentioned, so here's the BPUD current zoning designation for the property. The C1 is what is being proposed, and then as mentioned, red to red, future land use is currently commercial, so there is consistency there between the request and the future land use designation. So some matters of consideration with this application, which were detailed within the staff report, which hopefully you all were able to review, whether it's consistent with the elements of the comprehensive plan, what is the impact on the natural resources, the impact on the economy, how does it line up with the current code, any changes or circumstances to the conditions in the area, any mistakes of the original classification, effect on the area, and also the health, safety, and welfare of the public. So just to give you all some highlights as far as matters of consideration that staff looked at and staff was able to put together. So the future land use designation for the amendment area is commercial, so that does line up. There are no wetlands on the site according to the 2017 FEMA firm maps. There is no floodplain on this property. The proposed rezoning to C1 will allow the applicant to develop a quality restaurant, which was the intent. So when that rezone for Catalina Point came in, there was a traffic impact analysis, which we included within the review documents that already incorporated that site for the restaurant. So as far as traffic, when staff looked at it, that was all put together with that Catalina project for the residential. So that was all accounted for and reviewed for at that time. And then as the Catalina project develops, staff will continue to review that site plan and also work out the tri-party agreement that needs to be worked out with Volusia County, but that'll all kind of be summed up with that Catalina Point project. So as far as the transportation improvements that are stipulated, they are within the DA for the residential portion of the Catalina Point project. The requested C1 zoning classification is neighborhood-oriented and represents a logical progression of land use intensity. As was mentioned earlier, the city did do administrative rezonings throughout the city, like on locations like Howland back in 2003, designating pockets of commercial to be able to serve and offset the residential land uses. So today, staff's recommending that the Planning and Zoning Board recommend approval to the City Commission of ordinance number 05-2023, amending the official zoning map to rezone an approximate 1.76 acre portion of land located at 2965 Holland Boulevard from BPUD to the city's Deltona Retail Commercial District. The applicant also is here if there are any questions, and staff is available if any questions are desired to be asked.
I have a question, but I will open it up to the rest of the board first. Manny, do you have any questions?
We're going from a business plan unit development, BPUD, to retail commercial. What is really the change? Or let's see, what the makeup of the business model there, what is the difference?
So when this BPUD was approved back in 2001, based on our research and our analysis, essentially the uses that were allowed within the BPUD were the same or essentially lined up with the C1 district in essence. So everything that was listed within that original business planning development lined up with the C1 uses. So what this would do would be, it would extract it essentially from the original BPUD designation and agreement and bring it to a straight zoning, or essentially the codes that are established within our codes for C1 is what would apply as far as any type of development in the future.
Yeah. Please bear with me because I asked the questions due to my ignorance, okay? But in the BPUD, that type of business could have been developing there.
Correct. Correct. That is
Would it be
correct.
like office space?
So what it was originally was commercial and retail
Dollar
uses.
store?
Yep. Any type of commercial and retail. Yeah.
So if we go to a C1 type businesses, means that you could have a restaurant?
Correct.
Much
Correct.
more traffic?
Like I said, the traffic was calculated within that original, for a restaurant, was calculated within the Catalina Point RPD.
My question really hinges on the fact that if I have a business, a model for kind of a business, maybe dental office or a doctor's office, the traffic that is going to be generated by that type of business is X. Now, if we go into a type of sit-down restaurant that everybody wants in Deltona, would that increase the traffic?
Increase it as far as what was originally allowed, no. The original BPUD allowed for shopping centers, it allowed for restaurants, it allowed for all that originally. So there's no, the impacts as far as traffic that would have been allowed with the BPUD are very similar to what's allowed in the C1.
So you mean an office that is only open during the day generates as much traffic as a restaurant that is open until 11 o'clock at night?
No, I'm not saying it generates the same traffic. What I'm saying is that the impacts that would have occurred with the shopping center would have likely been greater than just a one restaurant sitting there compared to what was originally approved. The issue is the entitlements that were granted in 2001's BPUD didn't come to fruition. So essentially what was allowed there was a huge shopping center for anchor grocery store, other strip center uses, and then it had multiple out parcels for, say, restaurant, office, or whatever the case may be at that time.
So the traffic is not really an impact in the area, or the safety issues of this within Holland Drive, right? I mean,
correct, as far as what the original intensities were. And so any traffic impacts that have been looked at have already been calculated for the site with the Catalina Point residential.
So all you're doing right now is just trying to change the zoning for the area, nothing else?
Correct.
We don't know what's going to go in there, if anything is going to go in there.
Essentially, they plan to have a restaurant, but right, there's...
Okay, but it might be just a dream right now at this moment, right?
Correct, it's a concept, yeah.
All right, okay, thank you.
Something I can say with 260 houses going there, I mean, I don't think we should worry about, because all the traffic has been addressed prior to that getting passed in January.
Yep.
And going from BPUD to C1 is definitely not going to change any traffic flow from one to the other.
No, the uses are very similar.
And sit-down restaurants, actually, that's what's planning going in there, are a lot less traffic flow than a McDonald's or a fast food. Massive amount of traffic for them.
Yeah, it's not your high turnover, correct?
Yeah, okay. I'm good.
Judge?
I just have a question. Where's entry to the restaurant going to be? Where's the roadway?
Yeah, so I'll just give you the aerial. It's a little hard to see, but right now, the applicant, and we talked with the applicant yesterday, so here's the Storeway project. The applicant in Volusia County will not allow a direct access off of Howland for safety purposes. What the intent is that they will access through the existing Storeway driveway connection, and then there will be a connection into the site from that entry there.
Is that the same roadway they anticipate for the rental community? For the
No. So there will be a connection for pedestrian connection from the restaurant to the multifamily development. The access for the multifamily development will be along Martin Luther King here, this connection, and a right out on Catalina, a right in, right out, if I'm not mistaken, or right out only, and then a entrance here on Catalina. So there will be no access to the multifamily from this site.
Okay, thank you. That's it for me.
I guess two questions. One is, why do you really need this change?
So part of the reason for the change is the BPUD, being as it was antiquated and didn't come to fruition. The MDP, or the Master Development Plan that was originally designed, no longer applies. It no longer suits the changes that have happened on the property as far as entitlements. So it's either a change to C1 essentially for the use, or an amendment to that BPUD. It would still have required a rezoning to be able to develop this portion of the property.
Okay, and can you go back to the picture you had of the past, future?
Joe, do you have access to the previous, to the plans and I mean, it's in our agendas to be able to go to the previous, the whole, it's 200 and something pages, but there's a great site plan on that from the previous meeting we had on this whole development. Do you have access to that right now?
All I have here is PowerPoint.
Okay.
I know typically Joyce, when Joyce runs them, she can. I'm not sure if we have the capabilities today to look at the staff report, pull it up on the screen. Is that possible, Jessica?
You know what I'm talking about? It shows such a better picture of, that's just one page of your legistar.com. I think it might be helpful if we were able to see that from that view.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the capabilities in the staff report. I believe I know what you're talking about, Chair.
I apologize, Doctor.
There is a page in the staff report that has it cut out. Let me see if we have it here.
Well, I just meant for the computer. It'd be great if we could pull it up on that, from that previous meeting and those drawings, where they show the whole development in that corner, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, if anybody has the staff report open, it's page 5 of 8. There's a concept of it there.
If you have an iPad. All right, I'm sorry, Dr. Fev. I thought it might be better for you. Go ahead.
I apologize.
When you look at the proposed versus the future, I mean, the portion that separates the two commercial proposed regions is this, whatever the color is in the back, and then in the future, you looks like you plan to rezone the whole thing. I mean, what's planned for that? Why are we going in this direction?
So the future land use came, for this section here, came before you all. That was one of the comprehensive plan amendments that came hand in hand with the rezoning for the multifamily. So that rezoning went from commercial, essentially, to medium density residential.
No, that's not the one I'm talking about. It's the one in the center. You got that.
Okay.
Then you go to the left, and there's this strip there.
Yeah, so that strip is the storeway. That's the storage facility. So that was built out as part of the original BPUD. That was the only portion of the BPUD that was built out.
So now, why are you going to change that to commercial? I mean, if it's existing under business or whatever it is, why are you making the change? And if you're going to make the change, why don't we do it all at once?
So that's a good question, and I've got an answer for you. So that BPUD, that storage facility, was actually built according to the master development plan, but that was the only portion of the property that actually got built according to the original BPUD. So to leave it under the original BPUD makes sense because it was actually built out according to how it was planned. The other portions, this portion here now has that residential, so it's no longer a shopping center. It's now the residential that was approved, and then this is the remainder portion, which is carved out with the intention to do the restaurant, which is why the applicant's requesting to change it to the C1 for commercial.
So you're not going to do anything to the storage area, you're just going to rezone it in some way to be consistent with everything else?
So, yeah, the only rezoning happening today or requested today is for the restaurant area. The storage unit operates currently under its existing entitlement within that original BPUD.
Yeah, I know.
Plus, I don't see him tearing the storage unit down.
No, highly
It'd
unlikely.
work perfect for him, so.
Yeah, highly unlikely.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
You said to them before that the way it's zoned, I just want to clarify, the BPUD, as it is right now, a restaurant cannot be built.
It can. It's within that, yeah.
As BPUD, it can be?
Yes. The only issue with that is that the master development plan that was originally in that 2001 approval does not line up with the changes that have occurred on the property.
So something doesn't line up for the development of the restaurant, but a restaurant could be built under BPUD.
Correct, under that original entitlement, yeah. Had it all stayed and been built out under the original entitlement, a restaurant would have been permitted.
Okay, thanks.
And one of the nice things about being last is everybody's asking all the questions. So no, I don't have any. They've been answered.
I think one thing is the BPUDs are generally established for like a shopping plaza. It has multiple different types of tenants that you can get in. That's one of they are isolating this down a little bit, changing it and to just to specifically, their goal, as I understand, is to get the restaurant. So that was a part of the whole big master plan before, and this does, now that that's turning into residential, just I don't know if that helps you understand what a BPUD is. Usually a big shopping center. I mean, things like that. It can be a big office complex, correct, as well?
Yeah, and it stipulates its own set of regulations per se, its own zoning, essentially.
Right. So, so the owners, are you all any closer to nailing down a restaurant for this, or have you got any irons in the fire for a specific? I know
Let me go ahead.
you may not be at liberty to tell us specifically, but
Let me go ahead.
I'm going to
Sorry about that. Raise your. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You're good.
yes.
Never mind.
Good evening, Joey Posey, 420 South Nova, attorney for the applicant. Yes, that is in the works, and a lot of it really just depends on cleaning this up. And I know we're going back and forth in how this BPUD applies and doesn't apply. There's a few things I just wanted to hit on very quickly that the BPUD had a massive amount of entitlements and
Right.
massive square footage, et cetera. And what you're left with is really a little remnant parcel that is not consistent with the master development plan that was adopted with that BPUD. So you're caught in a catch-22. Do you retrofit this PUD in a way that is a fraction of the property that made up it? Or do you just clean it up and say, let's make it clean, let's make it easy, let's apply the underlying zoning that's consistent with it and allows for what the end goal is, which is that sit-down restaurant? That was the purpose of this path. It wasn't that we really had a choice. You could amend that PD, but then you'd be amending a document that is 20 years old and inconsistent with everything we're doing out there. So that didn't make much sense from our perspective. So, to come to today, a lot of those folks that we're talking to are saying, great, when do we start? And we don't have an answer for them.
in the event that you aren't able to secure the type of restaurant or such, do you have a plan B?
To be honest with you, that's really the goal, because that is what would supplement the community out there. That's the end developer's plan, that he wants the restaurant. He wants something that complements what he's doing on the east side of the property there with the cottages and the townhomes. So it's in his best interest to make that work. So that's why we're doing this. It's not an exercise in futility.
Right.
It's an exercise to move us closer to get that end user to say we're ready to go. Let's start turning dirt.
Yep, I'm familiar with the challenges of getting a quality sit-down restaurant here on Howland. I know the day is coming, and I look at that, most of them also know what a lot of their requirements are, the frontage and the visibility and access.
Right.
And it looks like there's an access coming on to the west of this, connecting. Is that true, Joe, that they have an access coming from that's going into the storage unit?
That is correct. And
They'll
what
have
Joe-
an access there, and then another access that will go through the community, just a short, little bit.
Yeah, it would be a pedestrian access with accommodating
east.
parking on the multifamily side of the development to create that synergy that we want with the development. So that's the end goal. And as Joe pointed out, yes, there is an existing access through the storage facility, which, funny enough, was contemplated as part of the original PD, but it actually can serve a benefit because it already serves as the access point that we can utilize for this parcel, and that's what we were working closely with on the storage company side too. So they're aware of what's going on to the same of what that end user could be. So this can be it really can be a win-win, and this is really the best case scenario to try to make this. Really hodgepodge of how we got here kind of unwind itself and work. So other than that, I'm always available for questions or any follow-ups, and I think I'll turn it back here to Joe if there's any more follow-up. So
Thank you. But, so in the event that you do not get what you want there's still some opportunities under C1 zoning, something else you could put there, or if you sell it to somebody, are there any restrictions on that, Joe?
No, it would just fall.
C1 zoning.
Yep, if approved, it would fall under the C1 zoning standards, uses allowed, and everything that entails. Just as far as access, just a good comparison, something that kind of comes to mind, so to help you picture it, it's kind of like where the old Bob Evans Colts Pick Stand area is. You kind of turn in and you've got a left end to that site. So it's kind of, the configuration kind of works that way in my head at least. So hopefully that kind of gives a better picture.
That's a good analogy, I think.
Yeah. Minus the signal.
If it's the right restaurant, people will take the time to drive around. If it's not, people get ticked off, and they're not going to bother to take that extra loop. But I wish you well on finding that lease or whatever. Is it a land lease you'll be doing, or is it right? You'll be just.
I'd have to reserve judgment on that one. I don't have the client here to ask, but I imagine it's whatever it takes to make it work. That's really the goal here, because this restaurant is an important component of the overall development. You can see even with the site plan or with the concept plan that's moved forward and the site plan we're working on, there's some interplay in how the pedestrian design works, how the parking works, and it's in our best interest to make this work. So I can't rule out either, but I can't tell you definitively because it's going to depend on probably the user, because you know as well as I do that even certain restaurants like it a certain way, and it really just depends on that tenant / new owner.
How big a size of the restaurant is it? Can be?
Oh, goodness. I think it was 6,000. 6,000, yeah.
Because, that also helps determine who's might go there.
Right.
But,
and that was what we contemplated as part of the traffic study and all of those extra studies that happened with the BPUD or the RPUD on the other one. But we've already done all the legwork for them, and just trying to clean this up and get past that last hurdle to see if we can get that restaurant in there. So,
What is your anticipated time period for beginning construction?
On the restaurant side of it?
Restaurant.
Oh, goodness. Again, it's one of those as soon as possible. So as after you get past the city commission, it's now that we've gotten that last piece of the puzzle fixed, it's really just getting somebody in there, because they're already working on the phase 1 of development with the other projects. So these are going to start moving in tandem very quickly here.
Okay. Thank you.
any other questions? Anyone? Okay. Anything else you'd like to say, Joe, or everybody?
No.
Do we have any comments from the public on that? No?
I'm just glad to see that it's they're making access through the
Storage facility.
storage units, yeah, because every time I drive by there, I says, man, that's going to be some tough turn-in right there on that turn. So, yeah, that's puts it's relief to my mind, so.
And is there access going west at all until, I see the road, but I don't see a curb cut there. Going west, do you have to go down to the entrance by Catalina?
Yeah, I believe you've got to go this way, and I think there may be by Critters a left now, unless that got closed. I can't remember if it got
That's
closed
the
off.
closest one.
Yeah, so you'd have to go make a right and then go make a U-turn.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I think we all would love to see you accomplish your goal of a quality restaurant.
Nice project, and they're going to need it for the development, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other
Okay, I'm
questions?
ready to make a motion on this.
All right, terrific.
I would make a motion that we find it consistent to go to C1, ordinance number 052023, to be forwarded to City Commission.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, then can we take a roll, please? We'll just move on.
Member Gonzalez?
Yes.
Member Pfeffer?
I'm going to vote yes, although I'm voting yes, although I would rather have the whole parcel be C1 rather than we do these patches at a time. But, I want a restaurant too. So, yes.
Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
Member Sixma?
Yes.
Secretary Amoroso?
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke?
Yes, for the
And-
reasons,
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to give my reasons. Because it's consistent with the adopted elements of the comprehensive plan. Its impact on the environment and natural resources are minimum. It has a positive impact on the economy. And it's, I think it's a positive effect on the community as a whole.
Terrific.
And Chair Alexander?
I vote yes also, because I think it would be nice to get one of them on there, and I think it'll help serve this community well, to give them an amenity of some sort. So yes, thank you.
Motion
So-
passes.
The motion passes. Thank you. Good luck with the city commission. Okay. And then our next item up is staff comments.
I'm sorry, Chair, we got item B.
Pardon?
Item B. The capital improvements.
Oh, there is a B.
Yep.
Ordinance, all right. Can we move on to ordinance number 06-2023? I was seeing that as part of the other, as the first one. Amending the comprehensive plan of the city by amending the capital improvements element, providing for the replacement of the camera, okay? 5-year schedule. Okay, Joe, if you could let us know what that's about.
All right, yep. So in your agenda packets was the ordinance and the staff report with the capital improvements element projected 5-year project 5-year schedule plan updated. So in essence, there's no PowerPoints, no pretty PowerPoints. This is pretty straightforward formality. What this is an update to our 5-year plan based on the already budgeted capital projects that were passed in September of 2022. So essentially, the process by which we are doing this ordinance is a state-mandated process to update the plan within our comprehensive plan capital improvements element. Pretty much just updating that 5-year schedule, looking at the levels of service, essentially doing an update and an evaluation as to where we are with the budgeted items as well as looking at any changes as far as population projections, utility connections, and things of that nature. So yeah, staff has provided this for you all, includes many elements, which again, were all budgeted either in our budget or the school board budget as far as their also 5-year projections. And so therefore, with this staff report and this ordinance, staff does recommend that you all recommend approval to the City Commission to update the 5-year plan within our capital improvement elements.
This pretty much has to do with the population growth of keeping up with it for all the services, correct?
Yep, yeah, we do it every year. What this assists with is if we want to make changes to our capital improvement elements, we've got to make sure that we update the state just yearly so that they know that we're paying attention to our 5-year schedules and you know, monitoring them and updating them, you know, accordingly.
I see you've estimated up to 2027, was it? Yeah.
Yep. And we update it every year for that 5-year projection.
Still fiscal. Okay.
Yeah, it was quite lengthy reading through it.
It's a lot of just data, a lot of data that's been established.
Gosh, very
Yeah, this
lengthy.
in a hot cup of cocoa puts you right. So is there any questions in regard to this from any of the members?
Yeah.
Members, Pfeffer?
At the last year, when they did the capital plan, I looked at it pretty carefully and tried to sort out if there was any connection between the level of service that was presented, the metrics for level of service, and the actual satisfaction of the citizens of the town to what capital appropriations were being done to improve the actual usage versus some abstract level of service. And I didn't see it then, and I don't see it now. So I'm kind of curious. I mean, because you troll through the internet or whatever, and people are, as normal, constantly complaining that my street's not this or this isn't that. And the capital improvement plan is the way one can address where the money should be put. And from this, we have no idea whether we're just continuing in a direction that's unpleasant, or we're improving potholes or access to whatever it is, you know. And I find it incomprehensible that this is the way we operate.
So I think what you're looking at here is an update based on what our established levels of service within our comprehensive plan are, and the budgeted items as far as the numbers that have been budgeted by the city or the commission, approved by the commission, and how those fall. I think kind of what you're asking for essentially wouldn't be in a level, it wouldn't be in the 5-year plan. You're kind of just looking at an update as far as what has been accomplished within that budget year, which is kind of a different item that I believe you're looking for. This is more of a longer range 5-year type plan that we have established based on what's budgeted now.
But that's why there is a 5-year plan, to sort out what the problems are over time and how we're going to make them better.
Right, but I think what you're looking for is specific improvements as to such and such street potholes was repaved and milled and stuff like that, and we don't necessarily include that in the 5-year overall plan. It's more of a kind of an annual update as far as where we're at and how we've accomplished based on going into the next budget year.
Yeah, so this is what we'd like to see happen. This is what we're planning to do.
Correct.
We want to add more sidewalks. We'd like to see more people get on sewer, out of septic, but that doesn't mean very specifically that it's going to be accomplished. Every idea, you know, so that's another reason for updating, correct?
Correct.
Because there may be things they find out later that they say, we need to add this to make sure we have the proper budget to. I saw something about changing 2 lanes to 4 lanes, and there's some real, I think, absolutes, but there are going to be some that may not get to that.
Yeah, but the issue to me is how does one decide as a city where we're going to put the taxpayers' money? And the question is, you use level of service metrics or something to try to tell you, well, this is where we're behind, and over several years, 5 years, this is where we should direct our money. And we don't see that. We don't see the process by which decisions are made so that we can satisfy the chatter on the net or something that
Oh,
says
God, no,
we're
don't do
making
that.
progress. Yeah, but we have to respond to that. That's our life.
I know, but chatter on the internet can be less than comprehensive, or less than even investigated or researched, but and I think what Joe is saying, that you'd have to dig a lot deeper to find those specifics. And there are other committees and meetings and things that you might be able to find that through, but you're talking about this report specifically. You would like to see some specifics of what has been done from the last time already. Did they accomplish it?
I'd like to have metrics that say, last year we had 127 complaints on such and such, and by the capital program, we've got it down to 126 or 5 or something, and we don't get any feeling of that at all.
Yeah, well.
That's my unhappiness, which doesn't mean that we shouldn't have a capital improvement budget.
That's okay, yeah. From the sounds of it, though, it sounds like it's more of a yearly update rather than the 5-year update plan
Right.
that you're looking for. So that's kind of just, from what I'm hearing, it's more of a yearly kind of metric as far as where are we at based on the budgeting, yearly budgeting.
So you would like them to give you some specifics of what they have accomplished throughout the last year on that plan? Is that what you're asking, Dr.?
Yeah, and also metrics that make some sense.
And at the commission meetings, there are quarterly reports that are happening that have been re-implemented. So also each department on a quarterly basis, I believe, is being requested to give these updates. So as far as what they're doing in their department.
Right. I understand what you're asking, I think.
I think commission meetings more the place to say, okay, what have you, confirm where are we putting our money at? Okay, we got so much allotted for this. What's been done with it? And just call them out. There's something on there that's not getting addressed. City commissioners are the ones to address.
For records.
So, sorry, yeah.
You were covered up.
Yeah.
Well, any other statements, questions, complaints? No.
Yeah, but
Okay.
good points, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we all appreciate that. And then, so what we're asking for is for amending this to provide for it so that you all can move forward with submitting this to the state.
Correct, yeah. So
I mean, it still has to go through the commission, though.
Correct, yeah. So you all would be requesting that you all recommend approval of it to the commission.
Yeah, I mean, we want to see the city move forward and have the right money and put it in the right places, but that's another day. All right, so was there a motion to approve or?
Member, if you could just call for public forum, although I don't believe there's anybody.
Oh, that's what, yes, that's gentlemen. I knew it had to be sitting there for some reason. Apologize. Anybody in the public? No, you're good? Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Now, can we move forward with the motion?
I'll make approval for ordinance number 06-2023 to be forwarded to the city commission for their approval.
So
Do
second.
we have a second? Yes. We have a second? He said, Manning had second. Mr. Rodriguez, thank you. And we will take a roll, please.
Member Gonzalez?
Yes.
Member Pfeffer?
Yo,
Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
Member Sixma?
Yes.
Secretary Amoroso?
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke?
Yes.
And Chair Alexander?
Yes. So we have a full approval. And that, all right. All right, so the next item up is now we have staff comments. If anyone has anything they'd like to move forward with. Joe?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up, and I know you probably, let me speak over there.
Oh,
It sounds low to me over there, so I would imagine how you guys hear it. Yeah, I just wanted to follow up. I know in the previous planning and zoning board meeting, you all had or kind of gave consent to give an award of appreciation to her service to Ms. Pat Northey. So staff, in looking at and reviewing some of the longer tenured members, we have been talking to city manager, city clerk. We are actually going to set up an award for Ms. Northey as well as Ruben Munoz, since he was on the board for, Jessica, was it 7 years as well. So, he was one of the longer tenured. So how we're going to set that up, the city manager has requested that it be put on a city commission agenda for the mayor to present those to them. And then that way, if you all will be notified when that meeting is, if you'd like to show up and show appreciation.
Well, that's terrific. I'm sorry, it was Member Nunez and who else?
Munoz and Pat Northey.
Pat, thank you. Absolutely. Pat deserves it too. All right. Well, thank you for following up on that and taking care of it. And we'll look for that email from Jessica probably, right?
And I will try to have your iPads ready next meeting.
Thank you. Yeah, we just got them. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Board member, what is the status of the moratorium?
Is your mic on? Sorry.
What is the status of the moratorium on the development of single-family?
So the RPUD moratorium has expired as of April 1st.
So you anticipate matters coming before us regarding single-family home?
We do. Also at the city commission meeting that just passed, the public scoping contract with Access Engineering for them to do the community engagement and analysis of our future land or our comprehensive plan and codes and things like that, and do community outreach was approved. So we will be kicking off with them as far as getting all those, everything in the proposal accomplished.
Okay. Will we, I guess, do we have to review the commissioners' meeting minutes to get information as to what was recommended and what was voted upon to change in that regard?
So nothing has changed yet. So what was approved was the contract to start looking into and starting the process for community engagement and
Okay.
analysis.
So we're just at the community engagement stage. So we
Correct, yeah.
didn't really we didn't finish our goal during that moratorium period.
No, unfortunately, we were not able to accomplish correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you. I assumed that you said there were changes.
No,
Okay.
no, apologize. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Good question. Okay, well, are there any other comments, board committee members' comments? Yes.
Yeah, a lot of times we turn something down or we approve it, and one gets the feeling that the council doesn't really know why we act as we do. I mean, being at council meetings and stuff, it's just somebody says the zoning board turned this down, but there's no reasons why we did it or to be able to answer questions. And I'm wondering if it's possible on a rotating basis I'm wondering on a rotating basis if one of us could be at the commission meetings where the items that we have voted for or not are taken up, and that person could explain why we voted as we did, as opposed to having them ignore us completely.
Well, that would be, from my understanding, the commission members have, at least most of them, read through it. I've had them mention to me personally about something that we had that our committee did, which told me from the commission members. So I know they're looking at what we have done, and it's written and recorded, of course. When that's why we also asked that you make comments of why you voted the way you voted. And they do read, I think, maybe not all of them. And then again, there's also, it doesn't matter what, as the last situation proved, staff can approve it, we can approve it, and the commission may still deny it for their own reasons, or at least certain members' reasons. But how would you propose that we would go about, being able to You're saying you would like one person to maybe go there so they could defend or whatever, the type of the reasoning for the whole board? I'm not sure we could
I
do
think
that.
it's kind of a burden to have to go to every meeting.
Oh, well,
And
yeah.
I think everybody should get a chance, so we could just
you wanna call it
rotate
that.
it, and during the public portion, or we can talk to the mayor to have a time set aside so that somebody could present this.
You have a comment too, Secretary Mercer? Please do.
As being on the Planning and Zoning Committee, if you were to go to public forum, you'd have the 4 minutes to speak on what happened, but at the Planning and Zoning. But I do believe the commission should do their due diligence and watch the Planning and Zoning meeting, because it is disappointing when they don't, because only one commissioner acknowledged how the Planning and Zoning Committee voted last time. So it's should definitely be out there to the commissioners and the mayor, well, the whole commission, to make sure they review our meetings, because they are available online, on YouTube, everywhere.
At least the comments that we made, why?
Yeah, and at least they can review that. I mean, I watch every single commission meeting. If I'm not in the audience, I definitely watch them.
Yeah.
So it should definitely, if hopefully the commission is paying attention, or we can write our commissioners and ask them to please pay attention how the planning and zoning votes, because you cannot say as a commissioner that you're up here doing what your constituents want and you're not listening to anything the Planning and Zoning Committee says, because we were put up here for a reason, because somebody trusted us.
Yeah,
My opinion.
yeah, thank you. And just to clarify, so in our agenda items, we do place how the vote went at planning and zoning. And then I know in the minutes that we do, that staff does, we also put the reasoning as to why the voting was the way it was when it deals with quasi-judicial, such as the rezoning that came today, so.
I think there's a difference between reading minutes and having somebody say, this is what we did and this is why we did it.
Well, and to that, I would probably recommend that you reach out, if your concern is that the commissioners are not paying attention or anything like that, that you reach out to the commissioners and just kind of express, you know.
I actually had a conversation with the mayor at our economic forum recently in that regard, that what good are we, and if we, you know, if they're turning everything down. But again, there's a process. We're supposed to be between staff and them as a secondary yay or nay. I mean, I think there's a purpose for this, obviously, and hopefully they'll take that into consideration. But you're right, if they don't even, you know, they've made up their own mind, it's not going to matter how much, whatever you tell them. You can plead with them. Some of them already have made up their own mind.
And just to express the importance of this board, this actually is a state-mandated board, so just.
Yeah, as an additional voice of
Right.
whether this should happen.
Right.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, of us. So there's, I think it's well represented here with the city. But
If I may.
you're welcome to.
If I may, real quick as well.
Yes.
You know, as Joe mentioned a moment ago, you know, having one of you go to the commission meetings or something of that nature, you know, that's an individual from this board communicating directly with the commission, as opposed to you guys as a board communicating with the commission through the staff, which is, you know, to avoid sunshine violations and things of that nature is why that's done that way. So that would potentially cause some issues with, you know, Sunshine having just one, even rotating, representing the whole board at a meeting. So we definitely want to keep it with you know, going through the staff and things like that.
Yeah, you still wouldn't necessarily be. You'd have to have everybody's approval to speak on their behalf.
Exactly.
Well, I encourage you to talk to your district representative and ask them to pass that along too, of what that they do their due diligence, as I agree with Member Amoroso. And as I said, it's been my experience that they do look over what we say.
Okay, I just want to add to this. The only problem I would foresee if one person got up there is the old game telegraph, is you're not sure that the information that's being presented by that individual is consistent of what we have talked about and we have voted on. So with the fact that these are recorded, and the commissioners who are elected officials can go on there and watch any segment that they want to get the information that they require of what transpired at this meeting, as opposed to one of us coming and, 2-3 weeks later to their meeting and tried to justify why we did something and talked about something and approved something or disapproved something, and have it being a consensus of every member up here. I think it'd be better off in the firsthand information if the committee members or the commissioners watch the video. Then they know exactly what was said, exactly who said it, and there's no grounds for any kind of misinterpretation from any one of us if we came up to it. Going to the committee meetings is great. I plan on attending them.
The minutes are official record of what our decision is and what our rationale is, and so our minutes should be reflective of what our voices are, and that should be the official record. Do they get specifically a copy of our minutes, or they just have they can access them just like we can access?
Yeah, they can access. We don't attach essentially the minutes per se because it has a broad level of applications. So, you'd have a set of minutes attached with the whole agenda per se of minutes and stuff like that. So it is noted in our agenda items how the vote was. And so then at that point, if they wanted to look at those minutes, they can access them through the city clerk.
Any commissioner has the means of picking up the phone and calling the chair.
And the minutes are also posted on our city website, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other comments by any staff members?
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
Or not staff, excuse me, board members.
Do they know how long these dividers are going to be at?
I do not know.
Anybody know?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Do they know how long these dividers are going to stay up?
That's a good question. They took them down once, and then they put them back again.
At the county, we took them down at the chamber 6 months ago.
Yeah.
At least.
It's, I think, again, hit up your local representative about that.
Do that.
And say, please, as a member.
And also, if not, and we might...
Echo chamber.
It is. Yeah, probably easier for y'all to hear on the outside, but in here it's like,
Okay.
it's very hard to hear, so if we at least get speakers on it.
All right, yeah, I agree, but, okay, so in that, if everyone's done, then we will move. Will somebody make a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn. Thank you very much.
Motion to have a second to adjourn? Second, third, fourth? All right. Meeting adjourned.
Good
Thank you
job,
all
Mr.
again.
Good job.